place. And it's really, really important to monitor the credit reporting to make sure that it's accurate. Particularly, again, in this type of situation, in these days, in COVID times with the CARES Act, it's really important to make sure you have an understanding with the furnisher and you properly document anything that's inaccurate that's appearing on your credit report. Actually, it's a great time that leads me to this, the credit reporting and the original obligation. So what may happen, and this happens a lot of times, is that what may happen, and this happens a lot of times, is that a creditor may charge off the debt and may sell it to a debt collector. And so when that happens, or a debt buyer, and when that happens, the creditor may be reporting a debt and the debt collector may be reporting a debt, or a debt buyer may be reporting a debt. And actually what may occur is an original creditor reporting a debt, then a debt buyer reporting a debt, and then the debt collector that's reporting for the debt buyer that's reporting a debt. And there could be multiple trade lines for one particular account that's appearing on a credit report. It's really, really important to be very, very careful and see how the reporting is on the credit report. There will be a lot of times where the original creditor is reporting a balance on a credit report, and then the debt buyer is also reporting a balance on a credit report. Well, you cannot owe a balance to two different entities. So that is a dispute that you need to file. That's not an automatic violation on the credit report. You're going to need to file those disputes, but that's something that's good to dispute in order to see if they're correcting it or if there's a potential violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Again, there's a negotiated result available for updated reporting. What does this mean? This means if you can go back and have a pay for deletion, so that if you agree, if the consumer has a debt and they decide to settle that debt with someone, then they can choose to have that account deleted as part of the agreement. And again, as I mentioned, there's a difference between an original creditor trade line and a collection agency's trade line. And we'll ask questions at the end, so don't worry. I will mute everyone as we're going, and if you have questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat here. Again, there's a difference between an original debt and a settled debt. If you settled with the credit reporting, if you settled with the debt buyer, and there's still an original creditor reporting a balance, this is, it's a very complex credit reporting situations. So you want to make sure that you're also, you're checking it very, very carefully. Again, as I mentioned before, loan modifications and forbearance and TPP, or temporary issues, temporary permanent modifications, and the temporary modifications. People have there's a lot of credit reporting issues that come up with this. And again, in this situation with forbearance, and this kind of takes me to COVID, and we've already seen a lot of people call about this, where a lot of people, once the CARES Act went into effect, a lot of people just simply stopped paying their debts. And this is something that you guys may not have gotten any calls about it yet, but it's definitely something that's coming down the pike. There are people who did not call their home, their home mortgage company or their car company or their credit card company and make an agreement to not pay, and they just simply decided to not pay. In order for you to have a forbearance with your mortgage company or with your car company or with your credit card company or with any company, you need to have made an agreement with the company for the forbearance. A lot of people, when the CARES Act came into effect, they just simply stopped paying their mortgage, or they simply stopped paying their car, or they simply stopped paying their credit card. That is not sufficient. You have to have made a deal, or you may have to have had a deal with the mortgage servicer or the car company or the credit card company for that, or the student loan company for that forbearance, and you cannot just automatically assume that you have that forbearance. And so this is something that's going to be coming down a lot with the CARES Act and with people who are facing consumer issues right now. And the reason is because they just simply stopped paying, and they did not make an agreement with their creditors prior to just stop paying. So it's very important that anyone that you know, make sure that they have an agreement to be in forbearance, and they simply did not just stop paying. Um, in an identity theft or a mixed file type situation, again, these are very, very complex legal issues. It's very important to speak to the clients and understand where their situation is, whether they actually have a mixed file or if it's a identity